Okay, so this is a lesson which I've used for Key Stage 3, and it's just a very simple introduction, and hopefully quite a fun introduction to loops and procedures when coding. And it's got a few bells and whistles in it to try and sort of cover more bases than just doing that. So all my lessons, we tend to start off with this cover slide where we've got the keyword for today, which is function. And then here you can see we've got a numeracy question followed by a literacy question, okay? Where they just have to copy this out and correct the spellings. Okay, this is most of I teach internationally, so my students are EAL, and I find this works really well as a settler activity. Right, I've put in a little plan for you to help you sort of follow the flow of the task. We can come back to this later, but essentially what happens is there's a few Kagan activities in here to sort of spice things up. The problem I find with coding, obviously, is that it's a little bit dry, a little bit stale in the sense that they're not physically doing very much. They're just sat at the computer. Active, mentally they can be very, very active indeed, but physically they're not so active. So what I've tried to do in this lesson is combine some sort of Kagan physical styles with obviously with the coding itself. So we start off with a relay activity, which the whole class complete, and then we split them into two groups. We've got the blue team and the red team, and they do different activities. So let me give you some examples, okay? So we've got, that's the relay activity that they do, and the keywords are at the bottom. What I do is I would put them outside. What I tend to do, put the keywords outside the classroom and let them, one person from each team, go out at one time. They can't take any pens, pencils, paper, their phones to take a picture. Can't take any of that stuff with them. They read the word, they come back in, and they read or recall some of the definition, and the whole team writes down those definitions. And then when they're finished, because obviously some teams might finish before others, there is a sort of close activity there to keep them busy, and then a stretch activity too. So that's the first activity, just to get them used to the keywords we'll be using in today's lesson. Then you've got your split into two teams. The red team, they're going to go off and do the Lightbot activity, and the blue team are going to do the Google Doodle programming activity. Right, I give them roughly 20 minutes. That's the timer there. You can adjust that timer, obviously, and off they go. Once they're doing it, everyone is given a sheet like this, which is also down in the resources section down here. There it is. And they have to complete this part. So if they're the blue team, they complete the blue side. If they're the red team, they complete the red part. And they have to draw an example, as you can see, of a loop or of a procedure, depending on which one they're doing, and then basically justify what is a loop, what's the definition of a loop, and why is it useful. So the blue team go away and do that for 20 minutes, red team go away and do that for 20 minutes, and then they come together. So you get one person, you pair them up, one blue with one red, and they get to teach each other what they have learned. So the loops teach the procedures, and the procedures teach the loops about what they have learned. So that's quite a nice little activity as well. They quite like that. Nice buzz to the classroom that I've found when that activity is taking place. Then, once they've learnt from each other about loops and procedures, they can then go on to the final coding activity, which is the Minecraft Hour of Code activity. And they can, you can direct them. I directed them to the Voyage Aquatic activity, but obviously there's 4 of them there, so you can pick which one you would prefer them to do or give them the choice. So everything in this lesson is designed to be used for free, right? And with minimal resources. All you need is an internet connection. You don't need any software at all. You just need the browser, and everything is accessible. And then as a plenary, if you go to menti.com, follow that link, there are some quizzes that they can complete, and they can see each other's answers. And it's quite a nice little website, that. So again, and you can put that up on the whiteboard, and you can see what the overall consensus was for the learning that day, or you could even get them to use the QR code. So the resources are all in here. That is your keyword relay activity, and you can give them that. What I did is I give them that to speed it up. I've got quite a low ability group, and having that as like a framework to write the definitions in was really useful for them. And then I've got the bigger keywords, which I printed and stuck outside. And then that's the loops and procedures worksheets. And I've got that as an extra task. Change that extension task, actually, because you can see that I've been borrowing that from another lesson that I've taught. So I'll just change that quickly. And then obviously you've got your prompt there for Wolsey Academy. Okay, if you have a history teacher in your life, do direct them to wolseyacademy.com. And there are some fantastic games they can play there, and the students go around and explore history and talk to characters and find out what's going on. Anyway, hope that lesson is of some use to you all. Hope it helps.